Teaching Sunday school is the best thing ever. When I retire in 27 years, I'll do that. Not that I decided. Thought about that last night. Well, our text today, it continues to be from the Gospel of Luke. This version that we'll read today is not the one in your Pew Bible. It is from Eugene Peterson's The Message. So just a little bit different. It is not a translation of the text, just so you know. So Luke 6:17 to, well, it's not going to be to 49, to 26. Sorry. Coming down off the mountain with them, that's the disciples, the them. He stood on the plain surrounded by disciples and was soon joined by a huge congregation from all over Judea and Jerusalem, even from the seaside towns of Tyre and Sidon. They had come both to hear him and to be cured of their ailments. Those disturbed by evil spirits were healed. Everyone was trying to touch him. So much energy surging from him, so many people healed. Then he spoke. You're blessed when you've lost it all. God's kingdom is there for the finding. You're blessed when you're ravenously hungry. Then you're ready for the messianic meal. You're blessed when tears flow freely. Joy comes in the morning. Count yourself blessed every time someone cuts you down or throws you out, every time someone smears or blackens your name to discredit me. What it means is that the truth is too close for comfort and that that person is uncomfortable. You can be glad that happened. Skip like a lamb if you like, for even though they don't like it, I do. And all heaven applauds. And I know that you are in good company, and know that you are in good company. My preachers and witnesses have always been treated like this. Give away your life. But it's trouble ahead if you think you have it made. When you have it all, is all you'll ever get. And it's trouble ahead if you're satisfied with yourself. Yourself will not satisfy you for long. And it's trouble ahead if you think life's all fun and going to be or going to beat it. And you live only for the approval of others, saying that what flatters them, doing what indulges them. Popularity contests are not truth contests. Look how many scoundrel preachers were approved by your ancestors. Your task is to be true, not popular. These are the words of God from the Gospel according to Luke. Whenever I got to the top, actually, of that mountain, I was always pleased. I had worked hard to climb the mountain. Now, this one is not a mountain that you need to clamber up or put those sticks in and cramp. What are those things called? Belay. I was not belayed up this mountain. I walked up this mountain, encouraged by my husband. This is Algonquin Peak and the high peaks of the state of New York. I loved it. And what I remember about getting to the top, once I caught my breath, was the view. It was breathtaking. I did all I could to catch my breath and breathe harder, but always when I got there, my breath was taken away. Now, having seen the pictures of the landscape of Israel, I doubt that the mountain that Jesus was coming down in our scripture this morning had such a spectacular vista. But still, when you're on a high place, whether it's 1,000 feet above sea level or just enough that you can see those around you, your perspective changes. At the top, our vision is expanded, sometimes beyond our expectation. On that clear day, you can see forever. I wonder for Jesus what it was like coming down after a time of prayer on the mountain. Climbing up a mountain, you use your muscles differently. You can always grasp, you see where you're going. Coming down, however, you can't always see where to put your foot. In so many ways, the descent can be more difficult than the ascent. Along with the physical challenges, there's a loss of vision. Now, that's not just for people with bifocals like me, right? I can't see it down there, right? But a loss of vision from that expansiveness on the top view back to the narrow daily focus of life. Jesus descended that mountain, however tall it was, and was ready after a time of prayer to be immersed in the nitty-gritty of life and focus with that mountaintop vision on the situation at hand. Now, when he got to the bottom of the mountain, there was a large crowd, and there were no concentric circles drawn on the ground that if you're my friends and family, you're here, and if you're somebody I might know, you're here, and if you're like of that person, you're here, and over there, there were no concentric circles of love. There was no inner circle. There were people from Tyre and Sidon, Jerusalem and Judea, all gathered there, all mixed together, all pressing the needs of humanity for healing and wholeness on Jesus. And Jesus welcomed them all. And he responded to the deep needs and prayers of their hearts for wholeness and love. These people remind us, this story reminds us of the welcoming love of Jesus. Now, I don't know how much you know about Tyre and Sidon. Anybody know a lot about them? Their names in the Bible, right? Places in the Bible. They were Gentiles. Those were not Jewish people. Phoenicians, perhaps in ancient days, they were not Jewish people. So they're the outsiders in the sense of from Jesus's community. And yet they were there, all mixed with the people from Judea, from southern, what was around Jerusalem, that region around Jerusalem, and the city of Jerusalem. So there's a group of Jewish people and a group of non-Jewish people. Who is Jesus going to love the most? All of them. Thank you, Sarah. All of them. All of them. Always, all of them. So this just getting to the bottom of the mountain, just being in the crowd, tells us how we're supposed to be, loving all of them. All of them. And even though those persons were there that didn't have any desire to seek a Messiah, they hoped for wholeness. And there was no difference in God's heart for any of these people. Remember, Jesus came to turn things upside down and bring salvation to the world. The people and believers and those who had no belief in Jesus as the Son of God pressed on him. Their need was great. Just a touch. Just a chance. Just a chance for healing and hope. They pressed on him and the energy flowed from him. And then he spoke. Blessed are you when you've lost it all. God's kingdom is there for the finding. This losing it all is not trite. It's profound. When you have lost it all, when you've lost it all, when there's nothing left, when the poverty of body, mind, and spirit are very real, then perhaps our vision can refocus. Instead of the narrow view of what we have and what we don't have, who we are and who we aren't, we might have a wider view of who God might see us to be in the midst of all of creation, our part of it, and have enough. To realize that you are enough and that you have enough. And the desire of God is that all might have enough, not only to survive, but to thrive. In that moment of abject loss, one has a choice. Either you believe in nothing, or you turn and operate out of God's abundance, one breath at a time. Jesus goes on and to say, you're blessed when you are ravenously hungry. When you're then you're ready for the messianic meal. When you trust that when nothing else will suffice, that there will be just what you truly need, given freely from God. Can you trust that not only daily bread will be provided, but that you will be filled in body, mind, and spirit so that you can live the way you're supposed to live? The messianic meal is a meal of abundance of God and the overflowing of hospitality that welcomes all people. And it's in community that the meal's supposed to be eaten, right? When we say, this is my body broken for you, this is my body and do this in remembrance of me, this in remembrance of me says to me, do it in community. How many of you got here by yourself? None of you. You were not born by yourself. Took two to tango, so they say. And here you are. So it is that inclusive community that we're born into and that we need to live into. Blessed are you, Jesus says, when the tears flow freely. Joy comes in the morning. For some of us, today or on another day, morning seems a long way off. We listen to the news of violence and war, of people going to work and never coming home, of disease that will take the life of a young one, of war and famine and political uncertainty. The tears flow from our heartache and loss for the devastation of life and the environment. How, dear Lord, will the world change when our hearts and the world we see is so very broken? It's into this brokenness, this very brokenness, that Jesus comes down to the mountain, holding that mountaintop view of the vastness and the goodness of God. And this is the way to new life, a life that will be lived in love. Jesus shows us this by the way he loved and loved and loved, and the people pressed in on him at the bottom of the mountain, and how he would love from the top of another mountain, dying for love, so that we might know that what God's dream is, that the world will be whole, that lives will be restored, and love will be renewed each and every morning. For some of us, that morning seems a long way off, but it will come. These ancient Beatitudes are relevant for today, I think. It's in this state, in this country, and throughout the world, poverty inflicts its misery on millions of people. Lives are brutal and harsh and limited, not by the capability or the desire of the individual, but by ways our systems are structured to keep people at a loss. We have too easily gone along with the status quo. Our vision narrowed down to what our daily needs are. I'm just going to take care of me. It's all too much. So the question that lays before us at the foot of the mountain is, how can we work together to change political, economic, and social structures so that the kingdom of God can be realized for all people? Is it too much to ask that no one go to bed hungry? Is that too much to ask? Who wants to send their child to bed hungry? No one. Is it too much to ask that we work for true and lasting peace within our families and our community and our country? It's not. It's simply not too much. Count yourself blessed every time someone cuts you down or throws you out, every time someone smears or blackens your name to discredit me. What it means is that the truth is too close for comfort, and that person is uncomfortable. This is the last beatitude, and it calls us to be brave and courageous in a way that perhaps we have not been called to do so much. To try and try and try to do things differently so that the results will be different. That's the insanity? Doing the same thing over and expecting different results? Get out of that and into the abundance of God and do things differently so that it will be different. And it's not easy. There's nothing about anything Jesus says that it'll be easy. There's no easy button. That's from Staples, not from Jesus, just so you know. We are to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Ooh, that part's not so good. We're good at the comforting, right? We're easy to comfort the afflicted. But to afflict the comfortable, that includes us as well. Doesn't fit so well. But we're trying to live into our call as Christians. And folks, when that happens, others might be a little bit uncomfortable. And the natural truth, natural response, when someone is uncomfortable with the truth that you bring forward, the truth of Jesus's love, is that they are going to challenge it and they're going to refute it. When we live this way, heaven applauds. One of our present challenges today is Christian nationalism, and I haven't spoken of it before, and in some ways I hesitate to, but I cannot not do it. Christian nationalism contends that the federal government should be completely aligned with a particular ideology of Christianity. And that ideology, as I understand it and see it, is rather exclusivistic. I don't think that that's a real word, but you know what I mean, right? Leading to rules and regulations that penalize people from different faith traditions or no faith tradition at all through a narrow understanding and interpretation of Christianity. It is my understanding that we were not, never were, and are not now a Christian nation. We are a nation in which Christians live. And if we were a Christian nation, we would take care of each other. Would a child go to bed hungry? No. Would there be someone in need of care? No. This ancient story from the Gospel of Luke at the bottom of a mountain shows us the way to be. Who pressed into Jesus for healing? Who was there? Everybody from everywhere. And who did Jesus heal? Everybody from everywhere. There is nothing that I see in the way that Jesus acted in the world that jives with the restrictive and often punitive ideology of Christian nationalism. And I am open to conversation around that issue. It is a challenging one. Because I want our nation to live by the ideals of everyone being loved and cared for. And I don't see that in the other. And I have more to learn, I think, as many of us do. When we read these Beatitudes, these or those in Matthew, we often put ourselves in the blessed group, right? Blessed are you, right? But maybe we should hear the woes that come with Jesus' challenge in this situation. But it's trouble ahead, Jesus says, woe to you, if you think you've got it made. What if what you have is all you'll ever get? But it's trouble ahead if you think you've got it made. And what you have is all you'll ever get. Do we often think or desire to have it made? What's the true cost of having it made? A broken relationship? I've seen that happen. I'm going to get that position, that job, that thing, whatever that thing might be, at the expense of relationships. There's been exploitation of others, knowingly and unknowingly. When I go to the high school and talk to kids about human trafficking, I was like, this costs. It costs not only what I spend, but it costs the life of someone who made it. So much of our clothing is made in ways that are exploitive, both to the individuals, community, and the environment. And yet, I buy it. Don't have a whole lot of choice. So I think. But I'm willing, when I buy this or other things, to have the thing, right? I have to have the thing, I have to look good. I have to have the thing to make my house look good. I have to have the thing to drive, the thing to whatever the thing is. And we maintain systems that disenfranchise each other just so we can have it made. So what do you get when you live this way? All you ever wanted? Or a broken world? We're challenged to keep our vision focused like Jesus did at the top of the mountain, that wider view. And it can be hard and tiring, especially when so many people around us think we're crazy for loving Jesus so much, and that we don't buy into their systems of the world with the same amount of gusto. And trouble's ahead if you're satisfied with yourself. Yourself will not satisfy you long. I hope you're satisfied with yourself. I hope you know you are beloved and enough. But when we focus on ourselves and we think we're self-sufficient and independent, we're fooling ourselves. Like I said earlier, you didn't get here by yourself. We're created in relationship, and we can only live in relationship with each other. We need each other. We need all of the others, all of them. Through the whole world, we need each other, unequivocally. There is no way to be totally alive and totally separate. We need to stay focused on this so that we can challenge any narrative that idolizes rugged independence. There are enough people. Does anybody remember the Marlboro Man? Right? That guy out there, like smoking his cigarette, on the horse and the sea, and he epitomizes the ideology of rugged independence. I've made it by myself. He didn't. He's lying. It's a whole lie. We have to care and need each other. This story tells us that. We have to be with each other. Jesus didn't go to the mountain by himself, didn't come down by himself. He had disciples with him, right? People at the bottom weren't by themselves. They were together. And troubles ahead, it says, if you think life is all fun and games, sorry, Gabriel, to pop the bubble. It's not. You're my young one here today, so I'll say that to you, right? There is suffering to be met, and you will meet it if you have not yet already. You're in good company. We've all met it. Once, maybe twice, maybe a few times. This woe is to the idea that we're independent and we should have total control of our lives. We aren't. Just so you know, you're not in total control of your life. Stuff happens. Life is beautiful and hard. And we have the strength, and we have to strengthen one another to face the way of the world that will do all it can, rather, to break our heart. To face the world that will do all it can to break our hearts, and to know that they will break, and that there will be people around you to hold the pieces and help you put them back together. The world will try. We are living in a world with poverty and injustice, with racism and homophobia, as well as economic and educational disparity. We need now, perhaps more than ever in my lifetime, to work together to address these needs. And that's what this story at the bottom of the mountain tells us. Do it together. Christ is no longer here physically to be standing at the end of the mountain, bottom of the mountain, but you are. But you are. So in everything you do, and I mean everything you do it with love. Do it with that vision from the mountaintop that there is more than we can even imagine, and there will be enough. That we can include people we don't even like. That we can have enough. That no child goes to bed hungry. We can have enough to say that maybe making another bullet isn't the option. Maybe a conversation is. You and I are the ones that are at the bottom of the mountain now, and the world's needs press in on us. Let the Spirit and love of God flow through you to do the healing, to seek the wholeness that this world needs now, and it will need in the future. Now, do that work. Love will take Jesus from this mountain to another to show us how to do it. Love. Always and in every way and for everyone. Let us love one another. Amen.